up red books in the bag, ideas to flow. Steph and Joe on the go, go, go. Sharing what we know from the classroom to the show. It's Steph and Joe on the go. Innovation, education, moving fast with dedication. Come along, let's start the flow. It's Steph and Joe on the go.
Good morning, everyone. Joe, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing so good, Steph. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I just got back from Tennessee, so got to see a lot of passionate educators. So that was a fun conference, and just connecting with people is always a good time.
Oh my good. I have not ever been to Tennessee. What conference was going on this past week?
It was the TETC, and I always want to say TCEA because I think
Yeah.
in my head. But it was the Tennessee educator, I think it was like their association put it on, but it was educators from all over Tennessee coming and attending and presenting at the conference.
Oh my goodness. That's so amazing. I love it when you have a conference that really drives attendance from all the educators around the state. You don't see that a lot. So to know that there's a conference over there in Tennessee that drives educators for just common learning about technology and pedagogical approach is pretty cool to hear about. So I'm glad you were able to attend and had a great time.
Yeah, and I think also it was so cool. Like during my session, this one teacher, she was really struggling with iPads in her classroom. That was like one of her main concerns this year is they implemented iPads, their entire district, I think. And just from someone eavesdropping, she was like, that was us 6 years ago. Let me help you. Let me help you. And I was just like, it's all about those connections at a conference, right? Like the sessions are great, but it's when you can continue the learning throughout the year and you make a new friend that can help you with those iPads that, you're struggling with. And they're like, I've been there. Let me help you, show you, teach you what we did to make it better or don't make the mistakes we made.
Yeah. Well, I love that story because it showcases that, a lot of teachers, who are like in this tech space and new things come at us, we think we have to go at it alone when we have so many experienced educators out there that we can connect with in person at a conference like you have or through social media that can help, right? I think it's so important that we understand that, teaching is a collaborative sport, right? And if we're doing it alone, we're doing it wrong. So if we can find those people to connect with, it really does ease the stress of trying to implement new things. So I love that story. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool just seeing them connect and exchange email addresses and just talking. So I'm really excited to see where their friendship goes. But today we have some wish lists because, right, it's December and I don't know about you, Joe, but my kids are all about their wish lists, like going through, the toy catalogs and circling exactly what they want for Christmas this year. And AJ, he had his Christmas program yesterday at preschool, and I didn't know he was going to get on the mic. And so they had all the kids get on the mic and share what they want for Christmas. And I was like, oh no, what is this kid going to say, right? He luckily just said Christmas. He wants monster trucks. So do your kids do the same thing?
Oh my goodness, Steph. Of course they do. They've been writing their lists since October. I mean, yeah, they keep a running list. But I'm really surprised at what my daughters have been asking for. So we really want to give our daughters, a skill, right? And my wife was in band for her whole elementary, junior high, and high school, career. And so she wanted our daughters to learn a musical instrument. So my daughter picked the guitar. And I have to give a shout out to an amazing educator, Mike Bolmert. He is the past executive director of CUE. He gave my daughter her first guitar. He found out she wanted to play the guitar. He said he had the perfect one for her size and gave it to her. And he said, as long as you don't quit, that is your guitar. And she's been practicing every single day because she just was so enamored that somebody gave her a guitar. And she's getting so good. So at the top of her wish list, she goes, Dad, I want to go electric. So she wants an electric guitar. So that's pretty cool. So that's at the top of her wish list. And my younger daughter, Ellery, is learning the piano. So she asked for an actual piano rather than a little Casio keyboard. So we're looking at getting her that. But I love it, you know. And of course, there's the Hello Kitty stuff and the Minecraft stuff and the Roblox stuff. But I really love that the musical instruments are driving their wish list for the year.
Yeah, that's awesome because again, it's something different, right? And I mean, on AJ's wish list, he's got everything, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, right? Like, and so today we're going to be exploring that educator wish list. But I think going back to that conference that we were first talking about, I started off my session a little bit different this time. I kind of asked them what their ideal day as an educator is, and this room of for my session had everywhere from principals, tech coaches, tech directors, teachers. So there was a wide range of different educators. But Joe, what would be your ideal day? Is it like not spilling the coffee, you know, and you're like, this is the best day ever? Or like, what makes it a great day as an educator?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought this up because I was talking to my friends this week about just the amazing time I've been having at the elementary level. You know, Steph, you know, and a lot of people know that I come from the secondary level. I taught 8th grade science for 10 years. I coached 8th grade football and wrestling for 17 years. So those are the students kind of I'm used to. So going into the elementary schools and then getting to be in the classroom with these young emerging learners has been just one of the joys of my life. And so my amazing day always starts with walking across campus to the library where I post up for the day, and kids just running to me, say, Mr. Marquez, are you coming in our class today? Oh my goodness, that just makes me feel welcome. That is the start of a perfect day for me. And then of course, being fully booked. A lot of people would be like, why do you want to be fully booked? I just love going into the classrooms. It's something that I've missed for 6 years. And I'm just trying to get in as much classroom time as possible to make up for lost time, I think. So that is my perfect vision of a perfect day. And luckily that's been happening. So I'm really happy and excited for what 2025 is going to bring, because the end of 2024 has been really, really good.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, right. Like some people are like, busy day does not sound like my ideal day, but I loved it too. I love being busy and just feeling wanted and seeing those kids excited. That's for sure an ideal day. So some of the educators that were there, they were saying like all the technology is working. I've been there too, right? Like there's days where the technology just does not go as planned, and that can really ruin your day. And so when the Wi-Fi works, when all the programs work, when your students just log in with no issues, that's a pretty good day, I would say. Wouldn't you, Joe?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, we all know that the perfect day doesn't exist, right? But when the technology does play nice, that does lead towards a very nice day.
Yeah. Another educator shared that the perfect day is when struggling students finally have their aha moments. That, for me as an intervention specialist, you know, you don't have too many days where it's like, aha, but when you do, you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, they finally understand fractions, and it's just a great day. So I love that response that Barbara shared.
Yeah, you know, I would also say, you know, having students experience something they didn't know they were missing. You know, for example, the other day, I was asked to come in and help with a lesson on perspective. They were learning about, you know, every story has kind of a lead character, but everybody around him probably has a different perspective of the story. What do you think it is? And the teacher's like, is there anything you can do for this? I go, absolutely, I can do that. And so we watched a 5-minute video of the gingerbread man. Are you familiar with the story of the gingerbread man, Steph?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2nd grade class, so I was a little worried at the end, you know, when the gingerbread man gets eaten by the fox, but the kids were fine with it. But I created a school AI space where the AI told the kids, hey, I can be any of these characters to give you their perspective. Which character do you want me to be? And the kids could select the character, and it became that character. And they asked, how did you feel when the gingerbread man ran away? Why were you sad? And they were able to communicate with these fictional characters and take notes on their perspective. And the students truly felt like they were talking to the characters. And just to see their faces light up when it would respond, and Mr. Marquez, come here, look what the fox said to me. Oh my goodness, it just gives me chills, because, you know, that's not the way education was when we were going to school, right? Where we got to talk to the characters, and they do. Just to see that joy, that makes an amazing experience for me, and a joyful day for educators, I think.
Yeah, I love that. Another person was just talking about how students are listening and not complaining, right? And so that, I think, is another really good day when your students are not complaining. Oh, this one, I'm assuming they're kindergarten or preschool, but it says no bathroom accidents.
Let's hope. Let's hope that's kindergartner first.
I know, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Are they talking about the students or the teachers? Because sometimes the teachers don't have time to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that I don't know. I'm assuming that we had a lot of kindergarten teachers in this session, so I'm assuming it was kindergartners.
Okay,
right?
Okay,
Maybe
good.
they're so excited to learn that they have bathroom issues. I don't know. They don't want to leave the learning.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And so then the next part is I asked them, okay, what's a real day? Right. And one teacher put in quotations, it's not working, right? Like our students are like, this program's not working. The Wi-Fi is not working. Another teacher was like, I get called bro at the end of the day.
Yeah. Good lesson, bro. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Another issue was fire drills. That's a real day, right?
Oh yeah. Having to stop instruction to do the practice fire drills.
Yeah, I also thought this one was interesting. PLCs, so that's like meeting with other teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real day. So I'm like, oh, they might not like their team. I don't know. Being observed.
Yeah.
Work, that's bad.
Yeah.
The principal comes in and the tech just doesn't work.
Oh, that's almost like a deer in the headlight situation, right? And you're like, of course. This has worked all week, and the moment my admin steps into the building, it he's a walking tech bomb. It just turns all the tech off. That could be very very stressful. I can see that.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that I really kind of resonated with was the never-ending to-do list.
Oh, constant. You mark one thing off, two things appear. Like what? How are you growing?
Yeah. And students falling asleep, task avoidance, indoor recess, right? Oh, indoor recess is the worst.
The kids still get their recess. The teachers don't get their break. Yep. Indoor. That's when Thumbs Up. That's why Thumbs Up 7-Up was created. Dude, I wonder if they still play that game when it's indoor recess.
You're going to have to let us know. Okay, so now that we've kind of heard like what educators' ideal day is, some of their real issues that they have in their classroom, what's on your wish list, Joe, to kind of, how can we help? What are we asking of companies, engineers, people who know how to like code and make things work? What kind of technology or scaffolds or support would be on your wish list as an educator?
Well, this is a great time for asking, right? Your kids are writing their Christmas list, mine's writing ours, and now we're writing our techmas list, right? With all this AI coming out, everybody, do you know what AI is? So with all this AI coming out, there's a lot of bad AI, right? And so I want companies to have more thoughtful AI, meaning AI that will help speed up routines, not replace you, the teacher, doing the routines, and more thoughtful inclusion of these AIs to help students. For example, one thing that's on my wish list, and that's the top of my wish list, is for the inclusion of Notebook LM into Google Classroom. And hear me out, Steph. This is what I want. If, let's say, a teacher goes into an assignment and writes out the assignment, writes out the learning objectives, and attaches a video attaches a work document, a PDF, and attaches another primary source document. And the teacher hits assign. It would be amazing if on the student end, a button for Notebook LM appeared and all of those documents that was attached are now primary sources as your Notebook LM. And the students could take notes and do the work, and it's all encapsulated through Google Classroom, and the teacher can see all of it. That is my ultimate wish list item, is the inclusion of Notebook LM into Google Classroom. What about you, Steph? What's at the top of your techness list?
Yeah, I love that idea of Google LM because I really struggle with reading, right? And like sitting there reading a blog post. And I just had a friend, Hans, he just sent me a message this morning, and it was really cool because he was like, hey, I just wrote a blog post and I put it right into Google LM, and on his blog post right at the top it has the Google LM podcast for what he wrote. So I thought it was really cool, like that he organized, like, hey, here's the article, you know, if you want to go through, read it, and here up top is the link to listen. And I've been reading Hidden Potential. Have you ever read that book, Joe, by Adam Grant?
I have not, but it is now on my list.
Yes, you need to. Okay, so it talks about how why learning styles doesn't work. And I was looking at, you know, Hans's blog post, and I was like, he's got the audio, but he also has the text. And so they were talking about how sometimes we need the best activities for what we're learning, and it's not about our learning styles in the book. And like, it's really good. It has a bunch of research-based ideas and strategies and examples in the book, but it was just talking about how, you know, learning styles sometimes aren't the best for us. And there was a study done where one group read an article and the other listened to it. The students that read it, they didn't find it as engaging, you know, as the kids that listened to it, but they scored higher on the test a few days later. And so it was just interesting, like hearing that. And I'm such a big believer that it's like a multi-sensory approach. So again, I just love that he had the audio clip and then he had the blog post right underneath it. And it's all about burnout. So if you're interested in it, reach out to Hans. He's incredible. It was just talking about how teachers, you know, are dealing with burnout and some solutions for that perfect morning routine.
Oh yeah, that's great. And you know, speaking of that podcast feature, Notebook LM, you know, I'm very needy, Steph. So here's another wish list for Notebook LM. Let us select different voices. Like, I know beggars can't be choosers, right? The two voices they have, they're very entertaining. But if everybody's creating the same podcast voices, it's gonna all just kind of be bland, I think. You know, maybe even if they allow you to record your own voice for 30 seconds to a minute and then tries to emulate you in the podcast, I think that could be pretty cool. And the
yeah,
last
I was just going to say that. I was like, you just read my mind.
yeah. Well, and then my last ask would be, before it creates the podcast, it gives you the script to edit before you hit create audio, just to ensure that the text is hitting on the topics you want. Sometimes the podcast can, you know, fixate on a part of something that you're like, that was just a very throwaway line and it's fixating on it. I don't want it to fixate on it. So I would love that. The ability to edit the text so that the audio is more on point of what you want. But besides that, I love the feature of podcasting off of Notebook LM.
Yeah, for sure. Another, I think, kind of wish list for me would be, you know, that teacher that talked about that never-ending to-do list. How do we create so teachers don't feel like they have to continuously work on nights and weekends and outside of that school day? And so, you know, I don't know if it's an AI tool like that can somehow, you put in everything that you need to do and it will like figure it out for teachers, but just so that never-ending to-do list, again, I have no idea what the feature would be like. So maybe you have some ideas, Joe, of like what this would look like. Because right now I usually write down my to-do list because I like the motivation of crossing things off. And I'm like, oh, I accomplished everything today. I feel good about my life. But that never-ending list, sometimes when I don't get things done, I just feel not as motivated.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I love this idea, and so like again, I am not a coder, I'm not a computer engineer, but with AI out there, I'm hoping something could happen like this. But imagine you have, like it's in Google Classroom, not Google Classroom, in Google Calendar, there's your tasks, right, that you can put in, or same thing, there's a task option in Outlook. But imagine if you put your tasks in with your deadlines and maybe a rough amount of time of how long those tasks would take to complete. Imagine if it then looked through your calendar, identified sections of time that you would have to be able to work on those tasks, and it blocks that time out on the calendar for you so that people can't book meetings with you. You've already blocked that time out. And now you have like this AI assistant kind of saying, this would be a great time to work on this. This would be a great time to work on this, and slowly chips away at your to-do list by kind of auto scheduling it for you. I think that would be a pretty cool feature for getting more to-do list items knocked off your plate.
Yeah, I love that idea of kind of automating. Okay, what else do you wish?
Okay, here's another big wish, and it's a Kami wish, and I've told you about this Kami wish. You have Classroom View, which is a game changer for Kami users, but I would love that feature overlaid on top of one another. All of your students' annotations overlaid at once, so you can see what part of the text is resonating with all of your students at once. And this is a feature that was part of a tool called Edgy. Unfortunately, Edgy had to close their doors last June, but it was a very powerful tool for me. When I would hand out a document to my students in my science class and I would want them to read this article, I was able to see which part of the article was resonating with them. What part are they really interacting with and commenting on? And if they were commenting on a section they don't even need to be on, I can stop the class and be like, look, everybody, you have tons of annotations on paragraph 1, but it's paragraph 3 that's the heavy hitter of this article. Please focus more on paragraph 3, not paragraph 1. And that really helped my students understand the reading and the focus and the articles a lot more. So I would love, that's my ask of Kami, bring in that feature, bring in that overlay feature so you can see all the annotations kind of coming in at once.
Yeah, I love that idea of having, all of those annotations right there, because then you can have really great discussions, I think, with your students. So hopefully we can send it over to our engineers again. I know when you first told me, I sent it out there and I was like, please, please, please. But hopefully they can do it again.
Fingers crossed. I think 2025 is the year. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, it's gotta be, right? Another kind of thing that made me think too is the PLCs, right? Sometimes working with other colleagues can be a pain, right? That collaboration. And so, because of educators, sometimes I think we do feel isolated because we're not in the same classroom all day with other adults. Like we're working with students a lot, right? And so I think, how do you make a PLC, that team time when teachers can work with other teachers, how do you make that successful? And I like to kind of think through design thinking with that, but I know not all districts have that same mindset. And so it can be really, really frustrating when you are trying to have your team work together, but you're just like, this is a waste of my time. But I think it could be really valuable time. So do you think it's a tool, or do you think it would be more of a process that would need to be followed or created for that?
No, it's a process. In my time in the classroom, we had that issue with our PLC for quite a while when I first started teaching, and the PLC was mainly for looking over test scores. To me, I had that same thought. It was a waste of time. I don't need to know your test scores. Right? Let's talk about, what are you doing to get those test scores? What are you doing to raise? So we changed it to a share out. We, had that open forum of share what you're doing, share something new you're trying, share a new strategy you're using, and then let's talk about it together. To me, that was the most powerful way a PLC worked. was when you become a community, right? A PLC, to me, that C is community. And by sharing out and sharing ideas, that's the power of PLC, not just talking about test scores.
Yeah. And I think that does have to switch, right? From focusing on scores, because then it maybe sounds like more of a competition too. And you're like, well, I'm not doing as well as this teacher. And so the principal, is going to think that. And so it's now, I'm not going to share these strategies because if they work and that teacher does it, she might still have better scores than me. Like sometimes I think that kind of takes place in our brains a little bit or hidden.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's about changing the focus of those type of meetings, more focused on, okay, we want educators to feel supported and being able to have that time to collaborate. And I think that's really important because if you don't get along with the people that you like, I think it can be really toxic place to work in that workspace.
Oh yeah, and it can, you have to have a supportive department. Otherwise, you feel like a lone survivor on an island, and that's never a good feeling. Feeling like you're isolated, even though you're part of the team. So yeah, anything you can do to bring up the camaraderie within a team, sharing out, and it's the age old story, right? Of jealousy versus self confidence. Right? If you have another teacher that's doing super well, but you have a great lesson, you may not want to share that out because they're already getting high test scores and you spent all this time on this lesson. But if we get over that, if we remember, hey, I created this lesson to change the educational experience for kids, and if I share it with other teachers, that is going to happen at an even greater rate with other kids. You got to share. So it's about sharing to pass on that experience to kids, not sharing to compete with test scores or that kind of stuff. So it's a big mind shift. But once that switch is flipped, some amazing things can happen.
Yeah, I agree, but it does take a little bit of a flip. And I think, again, it depends on the culture of the school as well and how we can make educators feel comfortable and empowered to share the things that are working or not even working. I think teachers need time to process. There's a lot of different, we talked about initiative fatigue. Do we provide that time for them to kind of vent it out and process through the changes that are happening? And sometimes I don't think we allow that within our system, just because we're like, time is so valuable, but we really do need to.
100%. Time is the one wish list item that we all want more of, but can never have enough of. So yes, time is a gift that we can all wish for this holiday season.
And I don't mean someone said something about fire drills. I don't think there's any way to get rid of fire drills, right? But I think maybe there's a way to plan around those inconsistencies, right? Or a way to alert teachers, hey, this is coming.
Yeah, well, that's why it kind of surprised me a little bit, because every school that I've been to, the fire drill is on the agenda, it's on the calendar, and
Really?
it hits at the exact same time that it's going to be told to hit. For a couple of reasons. One, they don't want to scare the kids. So the kids are told in advance, hey, there's going to be a fire drill. So when the fire drill goes off, we're all going to get up. We're going to, get to the front. We're going to go find our number on the blacktop, and we're going to stand there. So that's been my experience. It's never been like today's a fire drill, deal with it. So if that is the case, oh my goodness, no. Yeah. So I can see
Ohio law, like rule. But you can have so many that are announced, but then you have to have so many that are unannounced.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's not a thing here. No, so that's why it surprised me. So that would be very, very stressful. Pop-up fire drills.
Yep, for sure. An instructional coach also was talking about teacher comfort level. And I thought that was kind of interesting because sometimes I think we do share so many tools, so many different resources. And so any thoughts to help teachers feel comfortable using technology or innovative ideas or new ways to use something in their classroom?
Yeah, number one, and I point this out all the time. Don't try to be me. You know what I mean? Because when I'm presenting, sometimes it can be overwhelming. There was somebody that made the analogy of, sitting in your session, Joe, is like being, filled with a fire hose, and they're like, it's so many things. How do you expect me to know all of it? And I go, I don't. And they're like, well, how long did it take you to learn all this? And I'm like, 10 years and counting. Right. So I think it's important for presenters, for fellow educators to remind people, I'm showing you a strategy. It took me a long time to hone in how to make this work with my kids. It's going to take you a while to fine tune it to make it work with your kids. So don't expect it to work at its best the first time. And if it doesn't work the first time, it's not your fault. It's not the tool's fault. It's you don't have enough time with the tool. So keep going, right? Making sure we acknowledge that so the teachers don't feel like they're the ones who don't know how to use it. It's not them. It takes time. It absolutely does.
Yeah, and I think that time piece is hard because we're just like, we need to know this, we need to implement it, we need to do all the things. But really, it is just sometimes taking a step back and breathing and going, okay, it's going to be okay if this and this and this don't happen right away. But I think looking at what are those steps to get to that end goal too. Sometimes
Yes.
I think I've done that in the past as a coach is I'm like, here is what I want you to do. And I don't give them those any bitty small steps to help them implement what I actually want them to do. And so I've learned that the hard way of like, oh, just do this. And then it's like a complete disaster. And so I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, take those, like you said, and it's the same thing with kids, right? You don't throw in all the features of Google Classroom at them at one time. You do little by little, and they build the capacity to understand the routine. They got it down. Then you can add something else. I think that's, a good strategy for teachers. Like when you go to a conference and you learn about 20 new tools that could change your classroom, and you try all 20 and none of them work the way you want, you're like, but if you find just one that makes a difference, get really good at that one. And then once you've implemented it, and the kids got it, then go ahead and try another one, right? Don't try to implement them all at once. It'll drive you mad.
Yeah, I agree. So we want to know, what is your wish list? So what are some of those pain points that we talked about at the beginning, or what would be your ideal day of teaching with no issues at all? And if this could do this, we want to know. So we would love for you to either tag us on social media and share, or send us a text or message through email. However you have our contact information, reach out. We want to know what is on your wish list for after break, what you're kind of hoping some of these tools, and reach out to companies. They're always looking for feedback as well.
Oh yes. Make a friend at the companies, everybody. It's always nice to have a friend you can talk to and be like, hey, what would be a great idea? So yes, definitely find your friends, find your Techmas Christmas elves, and give them your wish list today. Hopefully at ISTE 25, we'll see a lot of these features start being implemented.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to us on the go. We are so excited to share, again, some of these updates and some of the pain points. And again, collaborate with others. Sometimes, like today, when I was just like sharing some of my pain points with Joe, he had some solutions that I'm like, oh, I could share that with this teacher or this district or that person. So reach out to other people. They might already know a solution that's already there.
100%. Again, teaching is a collaborative sport. And if you're doing it alone, you are doing it wrong. So find your community, find your fellow educators you can ask questions to, and, just build your capacity through community. That's my big takeaway from this.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for listening. We hope you have a great day, and let us know those wish lists.
All right. Bye, everybody. We are on the go. See you later.